So I'm going to tell you a story tonight. And this is a true story. It's about me. And this is a story about a time in my life when that foundation that we looked at earlier on the iceberg, that part under the surface, was not very strong or supportive at all. I was dealing with circumstances in my life, like we all do. And these circumstances were both undesirable and outside of my control. Not a good combination for me or probably anybody, really. And so I'll just give you a little snapshot of what those circumstances were. So my mom, who is here tonight, Helen, raise your hand. That's my mom, guys. My mom she gave me permission to share this with you. She had Lyme's disease and then breast cancer. Her and my dad got divorced. She left her job to care for her health. And I was really struggling with it was like I had a whole different mom. And I was really struggling with how to relate with her in those circumstances, how to be with her in her illness when I just wanted to make it go away. My older sister, Laura, who's unable to be here tonight, also gave me permission to share this. She suffers with treatment-resistant depression, which had started as postpartum depression and became anorexia. And I really struggled with how to be with her, how to relate with her in her depression. My little sister, Jen, who is also here tonight, and I won't make her raise her hand. She had been sick, and I know I have the chronology backwards because you were sick before Mom was, but I will never forget that day that we were out to breakfast, and the whites of her eyes were yellow, like these flowers. And we sent her to our family doctor, who sent her to Chester County Hospital, who sent her to CHOP, where she stayed for more than a month with a very rare and unbeknownst cause, blood disease disorder, and we almost lost her. And I really struggled with that. Just one more little snippet in the snapshot. My brother, who obviously is not here tonight, but he did give me permission also to say this. My brother was a heroin addict for a number of years. And aside from the damage that he was doing to himself and to our family, he did a lot of damage to me personally. We were always very close. And during this time, he stole from me. He lied to me, which, I know there are some of you here who understand what it's like to have a loved one in addiction. And I know that's part of the journey, but it still sucked. It did. I didn't know how to be with all of this. And I frankly just wanted it all to go away. And I thought that if I could just do something, if I could just say the right things, or find the right solutions, I could fix what was broken and I could control what was happening to my family. But you guys know that I'm not the one in control, and I really was not happy about not being in control of my circumstances. In fact, I was really angry about not being in control of those circumstances, and I was really afraid. And I didn't yet get that. I didn't know that. And I didn't have that interior foundation, that it wasn't strong, as I said. So one other thing I really struggled with was how to even be with me in all of this. I didn't give myself what I needed, which would have been compassion and gentleness and kindness and those things that we talked about that we need more of. I didn't do that. I didn't have the skills to do that. And sadly, I didn't have the relationship with our Lord at the time to let him take my burdens, to hold my fears and my anger for me. So I didn't know what to do with them, so I kept them hidden. And I got a pretty little box, which I actually brought with me, but I left it back in the other room. So imagine I have a pretty little box, and I just put it all in there. I stuffed in my anger, my feeling helpless, my guilt, my grief, my feeling out of control. And I put the lid on that box, and then I, punted it as far away from me as I could get it. So I didn't have to think about any of that. But you can imagine how that worked, right? That didn't really work out so well. It seems like the more we try to ignore something under the surface, it just finds a way to keep percolating. But I tried, and I overcompensated for everything that was happening in here by projecting this image of myself, exterior, the top of the iceberg, of somebody who was in control, competent, and strong. right? Such a disconnect. It was actually really inauthentic. And I just couldn't risk people finding out what was really happening. So I created this barrier wall all around me so I could keep my stuff in here and keep you all out there. And over time, my wall got harder to break through, and I got harder. I was way harder on myself. I know I was harder on others, and I'm certain I was harder to be in relationship with, which I'm sure my mom would agree. It was a huge widening gap between the truth of my experience and the portrayal, the me that I was projecting out to the world. I was hiding, and I was really caught, and it felt terrible. Can you guys feel that? Like, can you feel the energy in the room right now? What do you notice? Maybe just say a few words. What do you notice? Heavy, yes. Stuck. What was that? Dark. Exhausting. Keeping up an image, very exhausting. Yeah. And I was bound by a lot of lies that I was believing about myself. You are so messed up. If they knew the truth, they would be so disappointed in you. You are such an angry person. You should be able to do something. Figure it out. So I was really caught in these lies of the enemy until one day the Lord finally got my attention. I know he'd been trying, but it's hard to hear. Some of you said listening more, right? It's hard to hear his still small voice, especially when that other voice was just so loud and constant, the voice of not enough. You're not doing enough. You're not being enough. You're not enough. And I wonder if this may feel like your story tonight. Maybe you can relate with the fear and the anger and the feeling helpless and out of control. Well, when the Lord got my attention on that one day, I'm not exactly sure what was different, but I know for certain it had everything to do with all the intercessory prayers that were being said on my behalf. And I got quiet just long enough to feel something in my heart. It was like this knocking in my heart. And I heard his voice saying, "It's okay. You're okay. I'm here with you. I'm right here with you." And so I just want you to know that if you feel that that you can relate with the anger and the grief and the helplessness, and I know we all can, that the opportunity before us tonight, especially in adoration, is to get still and just give him this much. I don't even know if I opened that much. It might have been this much, but that's truly all he needed to just slowly start to change my thinking, as we talked about in the room earlier, and Father's going to talk more about that. Just show me where I was believing lies, believing untruths about myself, not aligned with his plan for me. And so I just want to say one more thing, that I know some of you can relate, and I know you're also caught in lies. And I'll tell you how I know that, because Megan mentioned this term earlier, but there is this phenomena called the open secret. And it's interesting because there's a secret that we're all keeping. I'm keeping a secret from you, and you guys are keeping a secret from me. And unbeknownst to us, we're all keeping the very same secret. So what is it? I'm struggling. There are circumstances in my life that I cannot control. I get scared. I get angry. Sometimes I have no idea what to do. Yeah, I know. Me either. I know that's your voice. And I just want to assure you that there's a moment that happens, and maybe it's going to happen right now in my coaching circles, in retreats like this, where we start to look around at each other and go, I thought I was the only one that felt that way. I thought I was the only one that thought that thought. That might be the most insidious lie of all. Seriously, guys, that lie that you're alone. Look at you guys. You guys have it all together. Your lives work every day, all the time. Your lives just work, right? Yeah, mine either, right? So we can just get real and be truthful, because one thing I learned on my journey is that revealing is healing. Keeping it hidden does not heal. Revealing, speaking the truth, especially to our Lord. Doesn't he already know everything? Yes, he does. So my wish, my prayer, my hope for all of us tonight is that we may, the Lord might just reveal that one thought in your mind that he's saying, give it to me tonight. And you see this cross up here? That cross was carved for us by a 10th grade student here at PJP. And what we have an opportunity to do tonight during adoration, and tomorrow anytime, it's going to come up to the room with us tomorrow, is to take those lies, thoughts, negative beliefs about ourselves, that it's time to surrender. And we are going to lay them at his feet. Actually, we even brought hammer and nails, and we can nail them up because he already took them for us. We don't have to hold them anymore. So as you feel called, as you feel ready, there's paper and pens. And we just, I hope, I saw this done once before. It was at Abbey Fest. Do you remember that cross? By the end of the day, it was covered with pieces of paper. And that's my prayer, is that by the end of this retreat, we are going to leave here so many lies and negative thoughts about ourselves that are going to be up at that cross or at his feet. And we're just going to float out of here. We'll be so free.